Jersey Congressman Jeff Van Drew. He's a member of the Judiciary and Transportation and Infrastructure Committees. Congressman, it's good to see you. Your thoughts on Title 42 going away?
Thank you.
And swarming the border, and of course, from the border, they go to whatever state they want. They are now, some of them, in New York City.
Yeah, well, what needs to happen is, you know, in Judiciary, we marked up a good bill that then yesterday, as you know, went through the House. This bill deals with all of these issues and is something that the Senate should pass, probably won't, but should pass, and this president should sign and definitely won't. I always have to say this every time I'm on the show, Maria. This is the worst president in the history of the United States of America, and he's doing all of this where the people around him are doing it on purpose to change the fabric and the composition of the United States of America. We're in deep trouble.
Yeah, I mean, it definitely appears that way. But, you know, you just said a moment ago it probably won't go anywhere in the Senate. The president won't sign it probably. Have you gotten a sense now that you're there and in all of these meetings, have you gotten a sense of why this president wants this border wide open? Why nothing is ever done on immigration?
There is no sane reason except, and I'm going to say something that's controversial, but it's what I believe after I'm right in the middle of it in Judiciary, and I get involved, and I see and I listen, and I have to tell you that I really think the president wants to make sure that in the future years, and I don't even know if it's the president, I think it's the people around him. I don't think he knows whether he's coming or going, to be honest with you, but that they make sure that this nation, that Democrats will always win. When you bring 6 million people in the way that he has, there's no nation on the face of the earth that has open borders like the United States of America now. We've misused amnesty. We've let people in that we shouldn't have. The harm that we've caused to little children and to women and the abuses they've gone through. But it's all to bring in people from all over the world. And they're not just from Mexico, as you know, or certain parts of Latin America. They are from all over the world. And the fentanyl they're bringing in, it's destroying the country, weakening the country. I believe he wants a weaker country. I know that's a crazy thing to say, but there is no other reason for it, Maria. It is bizarro world, it's crazy, and nobody could explain it with a rational explanation.
I mean, every country has its sovereignty, has its border. I don't understand why this border is wide open. I mean, now,
Mexico has a border.
Yeah, right. We've got migrants swarming the border, and now that Title 42 is officially over. The House passed that GOP border bill yesterday. Legislation supposed to bolster border security and overhaul this asylum process. But Secretary of Homeland Security refusing to answer this question. Watch this.
What's the rough cost to American taxpayers since the roughly 4 million people have come into this country illegally since January of 2021? Do you have a taxpayer cost?
What is the cost of a broken immigration system? That is the question that I am asked, and that is the question that I pose to Congress, because it is extraordinary.
But do you have a cost that the taxpayers are paying now?
I believe I have addressed your question.
He will not answer how much this is costing. Cheryl Casoni had the answer earlier. Cheryl, jump in here.
Well, no,
and
Congressman, that's the problem here, is that it's not just that the border crisis is going to cost the people of Texas money. According to the Center for Immigration Studies, we're looking at potentially $92 billion a year in cost to local cities, to municipalities, to towns. That's the American taxpayer, Congressman, that's going to be footing the bill for all of this chaos at the border.
Absolutely.
It's not Mayorkas's problem, and maybe he doesn't have the numbers. I'll give him the benefit of the doubt, his answer there. But they have looked at the numbers, crunched the numbers, and it is a crushing amount of money.
Well, you know what? Just as a recommendation from me, and I've interviewed him a few times in committee, I wouldn't give him the benefit of the doubt, because I don't think there's a straight word that comes out of this man's mouth. And again, I don't mean to sound harsh this morning, but I'm just telling you how it is. Says different things, different times, doesn't tell the truth, literally says that there's no crisis. One of the most amazing things to me was one time when he was in committee, we're asking him questions, and behind him is a green screen showing the utter chaos that is going on for women, children, young people, old people, just the mass migration of people. And we asked him, are we under control at the border? And he says, absolutely, we have complete control. And right behind him is the picture of what's really happening. He is a consummate liar. He can just look you in the face and just lie and not even blink.
Well, I mean,
these are tough times. I mean, we have to get our country back.
President Biden is also misinforming the country every single day. But that $92 billion number that Cheryl just mentioned in terms of cost, where does that money come from? This is why President Biden wants to raise taxes. And, you know, he will not stop spending money. The president and speaker, Kevin McCarthy, have postponed their debt limit talks. They were supposed to be for today, as you know. McCarthy said it's because the White House is not budging. Here's the House Speaker yesterday. Watch.
President Biden doesn't want a deal. He wants a default. Mr. President, my message is very simple. Do not miss another deadline like you just missed on Title 42.
Congressman, your thoughts on where this is going? The debt ceiling negotiations.
This disgusts me. I mean, we were willing to negotiate, to discuss. We have a good bill. We have a bill where we make cuts, where we have a responsible, and that's an important word, debt ceiling, where we're willing to go back to, you know, spending 1% increase a year, go back to the 22 budget because it was so bloated anyhow because of all the COVID stuff in it. And there's lots of ways to save money in there, right starting with the, you know, 80-some thousand IRS agents that we don't need to, you know, clawing back on the COVID dollars themselves to make sure they're used for the stuff they should be used for right now to save money and keep our budget going. In New Jersey, I'll just give you one example. As you know, I'm from New Jersey. Our governor used it to buy a whole fleet of SUVs, fancy new SUVs. I mean, let's give the taxpayer a break. You know, people are breaking their back working, and, you know, their money is worth less, and they're working harder, and it's the same with businesses, and we have a bad inflation, and we have an administration that just doesn't care. They just don't care about anything. I just don't understand their mind process, what they're thinking.
They care about their climate change agenda. And I want to ask you about that climate change agenda, because part of that agenda includes wind farms. And you're in New Jersey. You see the beaches. You've seen the whales dead on the beach. There are new calls to pause the use of offshore wind farms after at least 36 whales have been washed up along the East Coast since December. Yesterday on this program, I spoke with Act for Whales board member Amy DeCibio. And here's what she said. Watch this.
The unfortunate answer that we're getting from the government is that there's no proof that this is tied to any of the survey work. But the truth of the matter is there's no proof that there isn't any tie to the survey work.
So, Congressman, what about that? Apparently, these offshore wind farms are so enormous and so loud that the noise alone drives the whales off of their track, ends up having them crash into boats, crash into other sea life, and die. And now they're washing up on the shores. So all these people who are pushing this climate change agenda, making it the priority, are they missing the wind farm impact to our ocean life?
Oh, and they don't care, because this has almost become a cult with this climate change rather than really worrying about the environment. There's so much to this story, Maria. I would love to bring you down sometime and just show you and talk to you about it. I have in the past. This is something I've been fighting this fight, and I'm going to continue. I'm deeply involved in this. I love the Jersey Shore, and I have wonderful memories. It's where I live. It's my district. And let me tell you the truth. The truth is, it's going to hurt the environment of the sea. It's going to hurt what's called the cold pool, most environmentally sensitive area possible, right on the floor of the ocean. It's going to hurt fishermen. It's going to hurt business. The company itself that is doing this is foreign owned. All these companies are foreign owned. Our energy is going to be owned by foreign companies. It's over 2 million acres just to start in size, what they're doing in the ocean, over 3,000 windmills, and it's going to be loud. It's going to affect the sea life. It's going to hurt our tourism industry, which is everything we depend on in South Jersey, and it's going to do damage to us economically because we're going to rely now on our energy. It's not bad enough that we're weaker than we were before. Again, this administration wants to make us the weakest ever. We're going to be the weakest in energy around the world because we're going to have to rely on all these other countries to maintain, and we're going to have to give them money for these windmills, and the blades aren't recyclable. I can go on and on about this. There's nothing good about them, and they're not going to help the environment at all.
I'd like to hear from Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, who has been pushing this agenda so aggressively. And now, what is her answers for all of this sea life dropping dead because of this climate change agenda, Congressman? This is outrageous, really. We were going to keep a spotlight on all of this. We appreciate your time this morning, sir. Thank you. Congressman Jeff Van Drew
Good to be
this
with
morning.
you, Maria.
Good to see you, sir. We will talk soon. On the other side of this break, Hot Topic Buzz. Stay with us.